Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Reading from the Bhagavad-Gita as it is from the 4th chapter, entitled Transcendental Knowledge, text number 9. Janma karma same divyam evam yuvitti tattvata chakta deham punarjanma naitimam iti sojana. Janma, birth. Karma, work. Cha, also. Me, of mind. Divyam, transcendental. Evam, like this. Yaha, anyone who. Viti, knows. Tatvataha, in reality. Chakta, leaving aside. Deham, this body. Puna, again. Janma, birth. Na, never. Eti, does attain. Mam, unto me. Iti, does attain. Saha, he. Arjuna, O Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Purport: the Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of the appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from material bondage, and therefore returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting the present material body. Such liberation of the living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalists and the yogis attain liberation after much trouble and many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into the impersonal Brahmajyoti of the Lord, is only partial, and there is the risk of returning to this material world. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body, and does not run the risk of returning to this material world. In the Brahma Samhita 533 it is stated that the Lord has many forms and incarnations, Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, and Antarupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of the Lord, there is still one and the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with conviction, although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empiric philosophers, as stated in the Vedas, Purusha Bodhini Upanishad, Ekodeva Nitya Lila Nurakto, Bhakta Vyapi Ridyantaratma. The one Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally engaged in many transcendental forms in relationship with his unalloyed devotees. This Vedic version is confirmed in this verse of the Gita personally by the Lord. He accepts his mind. lost it. He who accepts this truth on the strength of the authority of the Vedas and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who does not waste time in philosophical speculations, attains the highest perfectional stage of liberation. Simply by accepting the truth, one can without a doubt attain liberation. The Vedic version, Tattvamasi, is actually applied in this case. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the Supreme, or who says unto the Lord, you are the Supreme Brahman, the personality of God, is certainly liberated instantly, and consequently his entrance into the transcendental association of the Lord is guaranteed. In other words, such a faithful devotee of the Lord attains perfection, and thus is confirmed by the following Vedic assertion. Tameva viditvati mrityum mit eti nanya panta vijate yanaya. One who attains the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there is no other way to achieve this perfection. Svetasvatara Upanishad 3.8. That there is no alternative means than anyone who does not understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is surely in the mode of ignorance, and consequently he will not attain salvation simply, so to speak, by licking the outer surface of the bottle of honey, or by interpreting the Bhagavad-Gita according to mundane scholarship. Such empiric philosophers may assume very important roles in the material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberation. Such puffed-up mundane scholars have to wait for the causeless mercy of the devotee of the Lord. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananana Salakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapada Karmanam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sivisakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sinna Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhuvyevacha Ajitanam Pavanebhyo Vaisnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Siddhi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Janma Karma Samedivyam Evam Yuviti Tattvataha. So one who knows the transcendental nature of my janma and of my karma, of my birth and of my activities, that is not a small thing, because after all Lord Krishna is unlimited. So in that way one can explore the qualities of Krishna unlimitedly and never reach the end. So in one sense, knowing Krishna in full is not possible. That is not possible, because Krishna's qualities are just so vast that even Ananta says his expansion, who is constantly glorifying the qualities of Krishna, never comes to an end, and he is not limited by by time in doing so. So we are understanding Janma Karma Samedhi Vyam means understanding Krishna Tattva. Krishna Tattva means that Lord Krishna is Isvara Parama. He is the Supreme Controller. It is said, Ekala Isvara or Sababricha, Yariyai Chanachya Tarakai Chanicha. There is one Supreme Lord, and then there are many others who are dependent upon Him in some way or other. In the Panchatattva, we find that Lord Chaitanya is described as Krishna himself, who is Sevya Bhagavan, and Lord Nityananda is Sevak Bhagavan, or the Lord also, non-different, but this time in the mood of a servant. Advaita Acharya is also saying, Ami Chaitanya Dasya Muni, I am the servant of Lord Chaitanya. So although Advaita Acharya is also recognized as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So like this, we appreciate Krishna's nature as the personality of Godhead. It is described, Eticham sakalapum sa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakalam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. That Krishna is the origin of all the other incarnations. Krishna is therefore known as Godhead, right? Godhead is implying that here is an entity full of complexity. Although he is one entity, he is Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadam, Anadim, Anantarupam. He is one entity, Advaita. He is infallible. He has no other origin than himself. So when we look at all the qualities of Krishna, then his opulence is inconceivable. Many examples, many verses describe that opulence of Krishna. And the first verse of Bhagavatam, Jamadiyasya yatun vyat itaradas tates vagvikyasarat tini brahmaridayadi kavye muyanti yat suryaha tejo varimadam yatavinimayo yatatrisargamisadam nisvena sadastarirastakukam sacham param dimahi. There it is said that Krishna is the origin of everything, Janmadiyasya yataha, which is also found in the Vedanta Sutra. It is said that Krishna, being the origin of everything, is also all-knowing of all his energies. He's also fully knowledgeable of all his energies. And yet, he's also Swarat. Just as we find in Bhagavad-Gita that Krishna is Maya Jakshena Prakite Suyate Sacharacharam Hetunanena Kuntya Jagatvi Parivartate. Everything in this universe is going on under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But a little further in the Gita, he is described as the Avyaktamurtina, as the unmanifest form, and one who is not manifest in this universe. Krishna is described as taking birth, and it is in the purport Prabhupada refers to verse 6, and there he is described as Ajja, as the one who does not take birth. Kunti Devi also takes up this topic. Kunti Devi also says, it is amazing that on the one hand you take birth, on the other hand you don't take birth. This is truly bewildering. So it's very difficult to understand Krishna. One pastime of Krishna we can see here in Vraj, where Krishna ate clay, and we go to Brahmanda Ghat to appreciate that Mother Yasoda saw the entire universe in Krishna's mouth. So, and in that mouth she saw again Krishna, and again his mouth was open and she saw herself looking into that mouth, and in that mouth also she saw again Krishna and herself, and it was just going on like this. So that was quite shocking. And then Mother Yasoda was appreciating that Krishna is in the universe, and the universe is also within him. So how is it possible? I mean, it's totally contradictory. But Maria Yasoda saw it at the same time. She saw he's in the universe, and the universe is within him. So one might think Krishna, the personality of Godhead, and all his energies, that makes up the Supreme. That would be a logical way of thinking. But no, that personality of Godhead is the Supreme. He is including everything, and yet it also exists without him. So in this way, when we are looking at the Aishvarya of Krishna, he is indeed bewildering, as Kunti Devi is saying. Then we can look at our relationship with Krishna and how we depend on Krishna, how we are, every of our functions is related to Krishna. For example, it is said that from ether, in ether sound manifested, and then the sense of hearing also manifested. In air then sound was there, and also a sense of touch manifested. So in this way it is explained that all the everything has its origin in the Lord, and our existence has its connection or its origin in the Lord. We cannot perceive anything but Krishna. Rasaham apsakunteya prabhasmi sasi suryayo. I am the taste in water, the light of the sun. We find such descriptions. So Krishna is also there. So in that way, one can experience Krishna indirectly. One can experience him directly and indirectly. So one who thoroughly understands Janma Karma Same Divyam will experience Krishna both directly and indirectly, and therefore will never see anything disconnected from Krishna. This is the purpose of Bhagavatam, to somehow or other thoroughly connect us to Krishna, to see Krishna indirectly in everything, wherever we look. But finally, Bhagavatam is taking us to Krishna directly. Because although in all this Aishvarya, seeing Krishna everywhere and in everything, directly or indirectly, ultimately, in seeing Krishna directly, there is a unique taste, there is a unique sweetness, there is a unique manifestation in Krishna's particular qualities. This sweetness, this madhurya, Venu madhurya, Rupa madhurya, Lila madhurya, and what did I forget? Start again. Which one? Huh? No. Good try. Venu madhurya. I said Venu madhurya. I said Venu madhurya, Lila madhurya. Huh? Rupa madhurya. Rupa madhurya. That's a beauty. So he has a beautiful form. So Krishna in this way is, he plays his flute in an amazing way. He's always found in the association of extraordinary devotees. And he performs these childhood pastimes in Vrindavan. Although he is described in the Brahma Samhita as Purana, as old, as the oldest person, he does not look old. He is Novayovanam. He is always fresh. And then Krishna is, the most amazing thing about Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes is that he is hiding his Aishvarya. He's no longer showing his great opulence, now he's showing a human feature. And only sometimes, suddenly, unexpectedly, he shows his superhuman feature as the Supreme Lord. And then he performs feats within the realm of even then, within the human realm. For example, if we say Krishna lifted Govardhan hill, right? Then he lifts it on his left hand, on his little finger. Right? But he lifts it. He doesn't need to do it that way. He can also just desire it, and Govardhan just whoop, starts floating in the sky. Right? There's really no need to lift it up, or to hold it up for 7 days. That's not required. That's simply his human feature. But he's superhuman, but still, when he's superhuman, he still does it in a human way. He could also just sit there and the hill is floating above his head. He could have also, of course, just stopped the rain, right? Or sent Indra to another universe, or whatever, right? He could have come up with many solutions which really didn't require his interference. But when he performs these pastimes, the nature of the pastimes is that they still have a human nature, but superhuman. He's strong. He is stronger than an ordinary human being, but he still does it with his hand. And to show that he's stronger, it's with the left hand little finger. That's the weakest finger, supposed to be. So he shows that it's very easy for him, actually, in case you had any doubts. So, like this, it's these pastimes endear him very much, because he shows the same nature as human beings. Therefore, he comes very close to us. When Arjuna saw the universal form, he was just bewildered. He was bewildered by all these mouths, and he saw the destructive feature of the universal form, who was devouring all the heroes on the battle of Kurukshetra, one after the other, crunching them between his enormous teeth. That was more than Arjuna could handle. But yeah, you know, Arjuna was there witnessing Lokaksaya Krit, that I am the time I am. Kalusmi Lokaksaya Krit. Time I am the destroyer of worlds. And that, of course, looks to us very intense. When worlds get destroyed, even when a house gets destroyed, it's already a lot. What to speak of a world? But from Krishna's perspective, all these things are not significant, very insignificant. So one who knows Janma Karma Samedivyam, who knows the nature of Krishna's appearance and activities, should not lament. Klaibyam asmagamam partha. He said, my Arjuna, this weakness has come upon you, which is not befitting. You are now overwhelmed. You are now mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Asochanan vasuchastvam pragyavadam stabasase. So here Arjuna was forgetting. He was forgetting the nature of the Lord. He was forgetting how all this so-called destruction in the world is totally irrelevant. How we do not have a relationship with the material energy at all. And the so-called relationship we have is totally illusory. Like in Germany, Prabhupada was speaking with one professor, Dr. Wolf Ratkai, and in that discussion he mentioned that the body, they're speaking about the soul being eternal, the soul being separate from the body, and then Prabhupada said that the body actually doesn't die because it's never alive. He's saying never was there a moment when it was alive. it doesn't die because it was never alive. It's the soul that is alive and that makes that body move. And then things happen in it, but otherwise it's not alive. All right, all this philosophy is kind of something we can only remember as conditioned souls. And when we remember, we can remind ourselves, because to realize this is not so simple. To actually experience it like this is very difficult. But we see in some great personalities that they are completely dhira, completely undisturbed, and they have absolutely no sense that there is a relationship with the material energy. Like in the Bhagavatam, there is the example of the sage Dadichi. And basically, the demigods, as we know, they have a much greater level of enjoyment than human beings. They have a very long life and a very nice standard of enjoyment. There's only one problem: the demons. The demons are always attacking, so there's always war with the demons. So in this way, constant fights with the demons. And so on this occasion, the demigods needed a weapon which was to be made of the bones of the sage Dadichi, who had performed a lot of austerity. So they went to Dadichi and they asked him, "Can we have your bones?" Which is sort of, in most cases, when people start to ask for your bones, you go, "You can have my bones on your nose," you know, like. And we're not so eager to give our bones, right? There is a limit, you know, like, and when it comes to the bones, it gets more than we're ready to give. But in this case, Dadichi was having no concern whatsoever. He was ready to give these bones. He said, just wait a minute, let me give up the body, and then you can take the bones. So, absolutely no attachment, zero attachment to the body, absolutely no identification with the body. So, for a Vaishnava, the essence is to identify as a servant of Krishna, and to simply begin devotional service. Then devotional service, anarthapasamam saksat bhakti-yoga madokshajay, that devotional service will remove all the anarthas, all the unwanted things, including the identification with the body. So we may initially philosophically understand that we are not this body, but we cannot realize it actually. It's difficult. When the gun comes, then it's more difficult to realize. Or when we're about to be wheeled in to the operation theater, at that time the blood pressure may be a little higher than usual. They measure it, and it's good. It's usually it's a bit high at that time. So it is difficult to have this aloofness fully realized. But philosophically we understand. Then we engage in devotional service, and it is through devotional service that we actually realize this experience of Brahma-bhuta, of having nothing to do with the material energy, in a more advanced stage of devotional service. And it is at that stage also that we can engage fully in devotional service, because these two enhance each other. As long as we are in the bodily concept of life to a degree, we are not able to fully connect with Krishna. Part of understanding the nature of Krishna is also understanding our own nature as being his parts and parcels, his vibhinamsa, his separated parts and parcels, and as such being of the same nature, being of Sat-Chit-Anand, as Krishna is Sat-Chit-Anand. And therefore we can realize that potential. And when we are not realizing it, then we are in illusion. Just as Giriraj Maharaj said to Prabhupada, sometimes we are in Maya. And Prabhupada said, what do you mean? You are always in Maya. Always in Maya to the degree that we are identifying with the material energy. To the degree that our happiness has been directed towards the material energy, which then in turn Naham Pakasa Sarvasa Yogamaya Samavrita covers Krishna from us. So as long as we identify with the material energy, then there's no question of Janma Karma Samedivyam. It is not possible to actually know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in spiritual life, we find ourselves between two spheres. The sphere of pure transcendence, and we realize we're falling short. Like sometimes I feel the temple is transcendental, the Bhagavad-Gita is transcendental, the holy name is transcendental, the devotees are transcendental, everything is transcendental except me. I'm not transcendental. But to some extent, we're elevated to the transcendental platform because we're chanting Hare Krishna, because we're taking Krishna Prasadam, because we are engaging in devotional service. So in this way, the transcendental energy is working through us, and at moments, then we are on a transcendental platform. At other times, we are not on the transcendental platform, and then we return to the mode of goodness. In this way, we are between transcendence and the mode of goodness. And sometimes we are in one, other times we are in other. So in the mode of goodness, we are looking from the philosophical perspective, as I've sort of illustrated in this talk, the philosophical perspective. In transcendence, we're simply absorbed in loving service to Krishna, and in relishing that service, and in relishing the descriptions of Krishna. Vayam tu navipripyama uttama sloka vikrameya srinvatam rasa jnanam swadu swadu pade pade. It's that at that stage, hearing about Krishna becomes thoroughly enjoying at every step, at every moment. It is just an ongoing experience of enjoyment. But we have moments that we feel inspired and that we feel Krishna consciousness to be very enjoyable. And we have moments that we are experiencing Krishna consciousness as an austerity. So when we come down to the level of the mode of goodness, then tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam sujatyasmai tasmai brahma sukyam tanantam. As Rishabdev told his son, then it becomes tapo divyam, or austerity for the divine purpose, which we are engaging in. Yes. And other times it is just premamritambo nidhi, then we are absorbed in an ocean of transcendental nectar. So the essence of this movement is the ocean of transcendental nectar. Therefore, truly understanding the qualities of Krishna, the appearance of Krishna and his activities. Truly understanding means to understand them in great ecstasy. It means that aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pavartate iti mata bhajantimam buddhabhava samanvitaha. I am the origin of all spiritual and material worlds. The wise who know this perfectly worship me with love. Buddhabhava samanvitaha. The wise who know this perfectly worship me with love. So that's the thing. It's bhava then. In this case, bhava is translated as love. So here it becomes ecstatic. So that is the aim. The aim we see in the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is ecstatic devotional service. And certainly not just a life in devotional service according to faithfully performing our duty. It's nice if we live a life faithfully performing our duty. But when Madhavendra Puri was roaming the planet, he never met anyone who had the same depth of love for Krishna that he had. It is amazing that the love of God, which later was taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, already manifested 2 generations earlier in Madhavendra Puri. And at Madhavendra Puri, he was foreboding the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and was experiencing the greatest ecstasy. So Madhavendra Puri, he met many people, so it is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavad, who were very pious, who were strictly following the injunctions of the scripture, who were religiously going to temples and always worshipping. And in that sense, we would have said, oh, they are very good devotees. They are like, you know, very serious, very dedicated devotees. From our perspective, we would put them way up there. But from Madhavendra Puri's perspective, it was always falling short of love. So we also are experiencing that in our spiritual life. We are falling short of love. Now Srimad Bhagavatam, as I explained, is taking us step by step to Krishna's forms, through Krishna's energies, and we see how everything is emanating from Krishna. We see how Krishna is the origin of all the universes, how he enters into the universes, how as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu enters into every atom, enters into the heart of all living beings. See all these things. And then we come to Krishna directly. And it is there, in these pastimes, because of the unique sweetness of Krishna and his pastimes, that our appreciation and attraction to Krishna increases. So it is there that we really develop that love for Krishna. So all the previous chapters, all the previous cantos are bringing us to the point of understanding the tattva of Krishna, of understanding the Aishvarya of Krishna, understanding the opulence of Krishna, and then we begin to explore the sweetness of Krishna. And there we can easily awaken our natural love for Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is always surrounded by associates who are especially experience extraordinary levels of love for him. In Vaikuntha, although there is love for Lord Narayan, it doesn't match the love that is experienced in Golok. It doesn't have that same overwhelming depth. Although Lord Narayan is wonderful, still one remains at a distance. And so Lord Chaitanya is teaching us this same Srimad Bhagavatam. He's not teaching anything else. It's not that Lord Chaitanya is then giving something which was not given before. It was given before. It was just not understood before. Because everything is there in Bhagavatam. Basically everything is there. To even the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is glorifying Harinam Sankirtan. That's the final conclusion. If you say, what's the last word of the Bhagavatam? It's Harinam Sankirtan, basically. Glorification of Harinam Sankirtan. So in that sense, Bhagavatam is complete. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is basically teaching the Bhagavatam as a devotee, Bhakta Rupa, by example. And in these examples, elaborating on the Bhagavatam. Like if we look at Chaitanya Charitamrita, we're basically seeing that it's Bhagavatam elaborated. The same Bhagavatam, but now taught sometimes through philosophy and other times through example. Same Bhagavad-Gita also. So Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. We see that same ecstasy. Therefore, Janma Karma Samedivyam Evam Yuveti Tattvataha. One who really knows the truth about Krishna is becoming ecstatic. And that is our strength. That is the strength of this movement. This is not the movement which excels in the mode of goodness. And because this is not the movement that excels in the mode of goodness, therefore this is not the movement where austerity is in the foreground or acting according to prescribed duty. We are not very good at it. Some may be better, some may be worse, but over a whole, it's not our strength. So, our strength is also not our knowledge of Shastra. We are not the most scholarly movement. The Madhvas have many, many great scholars, many, that are impressively scholarly, and they would give most of us a hard time in a discussion. All right, we have a few, that means in a detailed discussion. Yeah? If we'd have to get really in a detailed reply, point for point, it would be hard. We have a few shortcuts. We can go to Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalu, Nasteva, 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 Gatiranyata. Okay, we have a few verses like that, by which we can circumvent complex discussions on tattva, but we're not capable of it, and they are. So there are very great scholars in the world. We may not, on the strength of our scholarship, we may not excel. That may not be our strength. Our strength is that somehow or other we have this tremendous focus on Krishna. A tremendous focus on Krishna. And with that tremendous focus on Krishna, going in depth in the unique nature of his pastimes, we're getting a unique taste. Therefore, our strength is taste. It is taste. The strength of this movement is that there is taste. And it is on the strength of taste, of higher taste, that we can be successful. Otherwise, on the strength of piety, on the strength of culture, on the strength of knowledge, no chance. it will not be successful in this way. So in this way, yeah, one can, of course, on this verse of Bhagavad-Gita, Janma Karma Samedi Vyam, what can we say? On the strength of this verse in Bhagavad-Gita, we can speak for the rest of our life, right? I mean, it's a verse you can speak on it for a lifetime, because there's no end what we can say about this nature. It's like includes everything. You can describe anything about Krishna. We can go to Mathura, describe how Krishna appeared before Vasudeva and Devaki. We can go to the Laghu Bhagavatamrita and describe that Krishna actually also appeared in Vrindavan simultaneously, which is not always known. When Vasudeva brought Krishna across the river, that Yasoda had actually given birth to twins, and that the two boys became one. We can discuss these things, and that then Vasudeva took the girl. One boy remained, and the girl was taken by Vasudeva. So all these things we can understand, and many more details about Krishna's appearance, Krishna's activities, Krishna's appearance again and again. Like Prabhupada says, Lord Ramachandra, he's almost Krishna. Almost Krishna. But because Lord Ramachandra is totally dedicated in following Dharma, he's not revealing every aspect of Krishna. Because Krishna transcends Dharma, and therefore, and whatever Krishna does is perfect. When Krishna steals, it's wonderful. Please come and steal again, anytime, and so on. So, in this way, we are appreciating Janma Karma Samedivyam Evam Yovati Tattvataha. And my lecture has only scratched the surface of the meaning of this verse. But time is up. So, any questions, comments? Slightly louder. The strength of our movement. Yeah. Yes. I'll repeat it now. So it is said that I said that particularly taste is the strength of our movement. Because that is particularly what Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda came to give. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaur Krishna Namaha. So they came to give this unique taste of pure devotional service, free from anya abhilas, not mixed with any personal motive, completely for the pleasure of Krishna, then particularly focused on Krishna in Vrindavan, who is especially taking the human platform, the human role, and yet displays these superhuman features, not only in his activities, but already in his appearance, superhuman beauty, and so on. So, in this way, the pastimes of Krishna have more power to capture anyone's heart than any other pastimes. See, therefore, to develop love for Krishna is especially easy, because the Krishna is all attractive. Therefore, that will especially happen. His pastimes are especially sweet, as I quoted. So in this way, what Lord Chaitanya gave us is especially filled with taste, and there's no compromise, and it's the highest taste. Therefore, taste is the special feature of Lord Chaitanya's movement. You find, for example, in the Chaitanya Chandramrita of Prabodhananda Saraswati, you find descriptions of where do you find renunciation as you find it in the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes, why? Because it's a renunciation which is based on blissfulness. When you're completely blissful in some activities, there's no interest in anything else. Don't think about it. If we are totally absorbed in a very blissful activity, someone can hold something. Some salesman comes and goes like, you want this? And you're just like, huh? What? No, So in this way, Maya has nothing to offer. Therefore, it is explained that the virakti, of the Vaishnava is like the eating process, and how one becomes very full, and when one is full, one has no more interest in anything, even in the tastiest things. Things that normally would be attractive are not attractive. So, in that way, one who is absorbed in love of God and in that taste, no interest in worldly pleasures. And in this way, we can be on a platform of renunciation, which is otherwise virtually impossible for any yogi, with great difficulty, with great pain and a lot of austerity and very rigid program. Is difficult. And now, for the associates of Mahaprabhu, like this. Therefore, taste is the central factor, is the source of our strength.
Correct. You were speaking about that we are in a transcendental when we are chanting and listen, and we see when we are in association of devotees, we feel that we are transcendental. And as soon as we feel that we are alone, and that time we understand that the modes of material nature, they are attacking us. So how to overcome that loneliness from our transcendental?
Yeah, so I also mentioned in the lecture that we are in between transcendence and the mode of goodness, which is prescribed duty. How can we always be absorbed in complete transcendence? It is stated in the Nectar of Devotion, Sandrananda Visheshatma, that we must make this devotional service more dense. It is said one of the symptoms of bhava is avyartha kalatvam, not to waste a moment. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that while the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were taking prasadam, they were chanting the holy name between bites. So, not really like not wasting a moment, very dense. So, it is said devotional service must be ahitaki apatiyata. It must be uninterrupted and unmotivated. So we interrupt. Little devotional service. That was hard work. Oh, now I can take some rest. 1 hour later, okay, little more service. Oh, now I can take a break. So now I can play with my phone. Or somehow or other, this is constantly we are interrupting our service. So, therefore Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if we want to overcome this, then we have to increase our chanting. No problem. He said we should increase our chanting as an attempt to make this service more dense. Or we should increase our preaching. As we see in Prabhupada, just increase our preaching. The emphasis more on preaching than on bhajan, but constantly preaching every moment. So that's what it means to make it more dense. So to somehow or other increase our engagement in hearing, chanting, in the ninefold process of devotional service, and in preaching Krishna consciousness. Then that breakthrough will come to deep attachment. It's said, when whatever fruits of love of God we've got, when we distribute them, we'll get more than we had before. So in this way we can increase our Daivi Sampad, our spiritual wealth. Then the inspiration will increase. Then so yeah, that's our process, to somehow or other increase. See, it's interesting how in a material field, any work that you do, in the beginning it's difficult, you have to work hard. Then after a while you become very expert, and you can do the same thing with a little effort. In the beginning, so much effort. Then after a while, very expert. Done. Like that. But in spiritual life, it's the opposite. As time goes on, it takes more effort. One has to make more effort, not less. In the beginning, we make less effort. And in time, more effort. And still more. And then more. Still more. And the eagerness increases for more. Sandrananda Visheshatma. Make it more dense.
Thank you. One more point of view. You were speaking about Krishna, he was stealing. So he was, people were asking, come and steal, come and steal. But those qualities, whatever the Krishna's qualities are there, that qualities we have in ourselves also. But whatever we steal, then we are punished and beaten.
It's not honest.
Nobody asks us to come and steal.
What to do? Maybe sometimes children or something like that. Your children will come and steal, or you want your children to come and steal like this. A little bit. In the family sometimes could exist, but
temple father.
With me, don't come and steal from me. You heard? I said, sometimes in the family, he was real quick. He said, I'm the temple father. So I quickly said, don't come and steal from me. No. Yeah, we have only the qualities of Krishna in minute quantity, right? Never fully. And therefore our stealing propensities are not easily appreciated. But when it gets to the transcendental stealing, then sometimes even our stealing can become blissful and appreciated. Like when we steal some Mahaprasadam, then it already becomes more transcendental. We can talk about it outside. I have a plan. Somehow or other, to steal mercy. We see that Lord Chaitanya, there was this, the cleaning of the Gundicha temple, and then one Gaudiya Vaishnava everyone was washing the temple, and suddenly he took his water pot, threw it on the feet of Mahaprabhu and drank the water. Lord Chaitanya said, to Sarup Damodar, your Bengali Vaishnava, see how he behaves. Sarup Damodar punished him, right? But meanwhile, that Bengali Vaishnava, he got the mercy. So sometimes stealing is also a good thing, even when it gets transcendental. And then we actually get rewarded. Maybe externally still he was punished, but he got rewarded. Kala Krishnadas was begging, stealing all the remnants of all the Vaishnavas in Bengal, took all their food remnants. Now the interesting thing is this, that you might think, by taking these remnants of the Vaishnavas, I'll get the qualities of the Vaishnavas, I get the mercy of the Vaishnavas, I become like them. But what happened to him, to Kala Krishnadas, he got more mercy than all those other Vaishnavas. Because when Mahaprabhu was washing his feet over the ditch in front of the Simhadwara, Govinda was pouring some water over the feet of Mahaprabhu, then Kala Krishnadas is there and really, really fast, 3 times he drank. Then Mahaprabhu grabbed his arm and said, now it's enough. I gave you more mercy than I gave anyone else. So he took the remnants. He didn't just get what the qualities of the other Vaishnavas. He got even more. Just see. So sometimes stealing is also good. Sometimes we also get rewarded when we steal. Think about it. Microphone is coming.
That's okay.
But then the internet people hear it. There's a whole universe of internet people. Radio, internet, all these things. Whatever you say will not only be heard today, it will be recorded, it will stay on the internet. It could pop back up and even your grandchildren might see it. The ones you don't have yet. Are you sure you want to ask this question?
Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful lecture. My question is not so directly related to this sloka, but it is related to the concept of Krishna, which says that when we go to Krishna, that is Golok Dham, we don't come back. But also on this other hand, we hear that we were already there and we had envious in our hearts and we wanted to enjoy like Krishna. So Krishna created this material world. So we are here. So we had some debate in one of the sessions, but we could not conclude this, that when we go there, we don't come back.
Okay.
When we were there, how did we come back? If you can throw some light on this.
Okay. What's it again? Naiti Mameti Surajuna, all the planets from the highest to the lowest in the universe are planets of planets of misery, where repeated birth and death take place, and upon returning back to Godhead, Naitimam Eti Surajuna. When we go back to Godhead, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravatina Arjuna, Is that the one? Is it? Yeah. Abrahma bhuvanaloka punarvatina arjuna mamupechati kuntyana punarjanmana vidyate. That all these planetary systems are places of misery where repeated birth and death takes place, but one, upon attaining my abode, will not take his birth again. So that's the promise. It will not happen again. So it can happen once, falling from there. Now, that's the promise of the Gita, and Prabhupada was many times repeating that. So Prabhupada said, don't worry that you fall again. Now, as far as that we were in the spiritual world and then suddenly became envious in the spiritual world, I don't know if that actually happened. I don't think that is correct understanding. I think that what is a more complete understanding is that one can, upon eternity, realize that since we are minute parts and parcels of Krishna, and that we have the qualities of Krishna within us, that just as Krishna, who has independence and who can take the position of being a master instead of a servant, we can also do that. When that suddenly the thought comes, yes, that would be possible. Some living beings will say, but why would you do such a thing? Immediately continue serving Krishna. Others, they ponder for a moment. This position, where we are thinking about it, is a tatastha position, is a marginal position. At that stage, you're not fallen to the material world, and you're also not absorbed in the service of Krishna. From that position, one can fall. One can never fall from the spiritual world. But from the tatastha position, we can fall. Like this. So we don't become envious up there.
Why do we always have to serve? This goes on eternally. It's not fair, isn't it? Gosh, we don't even get a day off, you know. I mean, no, really. In the material world, you have Mother's Day and Father's Day, you know, something like this, you know. So we're always serving, but sometimes the roles have to be reserved, have to be, you know, it's Mother's Day, and then Mother doesn't have to make breakfast. The kids are making breakfast. And bring it in bed, and she has to sit, and they bring it, and it's like the roles are reversed. So, but it's not that such things come up in the spiritual world. It's blissful, but because we could be in the other role, curiosity could awaken. Therefore, it's curiosity that kills the cat. Okay, thank you, Oscar. Finished. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.